I started out the fall of 1966, just out of high school. First job setting chokers on a high lead. We're based in Enterprise, but we go all over Eastern Oregon.
We're in Northeast Oregon, Wallowa County. We're on the breaks of the Grand Ronde River, just north and east of La Grande. You get into the canyons, they're deep, they're steep. There's places that it's straight up and down.
It's about steeper than a cow's face, if you're familiar with a cow. That's about how steep it is around here.
It's a mixed conifer stand with a little bit of everything in it. So what's here is probably, I'm guessing, 80 to 100 years old, maybe.
This is pretty typical kind of a job we do. We're long span Skyline.
This was logged, it was high lead cable logging with a carriage. Long span, we typically call long span anything over a couple thousand feet, 2,500 feet long span. It's too long of a span to do tethered. And this was all hand cut because it's too steep for a buncher.
Well, I actually turned this job down twice. And since I'm getting close to retirement, I kind of told Hancock, all right, I'll do the tough one. And then this is a tough one. One part of it, we had our Skyline out over 5,000 feet. And logging over 2 ridges with hardly any lift. It's a tough job.
There's a couple spots here where they got a couple little ridges they're going over. When you got the belly of your line, you can't get over those ridges.
Anybody that's familiar with Skyline logging knows that if you're out 5,000 feet, somewhere in the middle of that thing, there's probably going to be about a 500-foot belly. So you better have 500 foot of lift over to the center of your Skyline, or you're not going to be able to log it.
And so that's the thing that you're always thinking about, where to put the yarder. You're meticulously trying to put it in the most advantageous position to gain that lift and the deflection so you can get your carriage back there. You can get the logs over the ridge without big gouges. Always have one end suspension. There again, looking at forest practices and not trying to disturb the ground.
Probably the biggest challenge other than the distance is the tail holds.
You got a lot of weight there that you need a good tail hold just to get your line up. That's without even doing any logging on it.
Limited amount of tail holds. Places we couldn't get the tail hold cat, we had to actually build roads in the back end to get the cat to where we needed it.
So he's got 4 bulldozers that he hooks to those guy lines hooked to the cat. The cat, a lot of those cats weigh 60 to 80,000 pounds. And that's a good anchor, because that's what holds your machine up when you've got 60,000 pounds of weight out 5,000 feet.
Where the Skyline's hooked up right now, we're out about 4,100 feet. We're logging about 3,500. And there's a big 140-foot stream buffer in the bottom.
Years ago when Mike started this, they didn't have these long reaches because we were looking at these plateaus and some of the shorter areas, to harvest because it was easier, it's cheaper. As we've logged some of these areas, we're going into the canyons, and now we're 3,500 feet to the creek from the road. And Mike has adapted his machine to be able to make these reaches, make it pay.
We used to have logging engineers for the companies we work for, but not anymore. So not only are you a logger now you're that logging engineer to figure out these jobs. When you look at these big, long Skyline jobs, the trick is to look at both ends in the middle, walk them, get it all figured out before you start.
He said on one job it took him 2 days to get the yarder in, get the lines out, get rigged up so he could start logging. You don't make any money when you're not yarding. So there's a lot of ingenuity, there's a lot of probably a couple sleepless nights or 2 thinking about, man, how am I going to get that stuff over there?
We try to get as much full suspension as we possibly can to protect the soils, and so that's the objective of what we're doing, is to protect the soils so they don't erode. So once the logs reach the carriage, they're just basically just flying through the air till they get close to the land. The light loads because we're out so far and the tail holds aren't very good.
He's taken the drums on his machine. I think he told me that he's added a couple inches on the flanges of the drums, which it allows your drum to hold more line. Because if you're down there 3,500 feet, because I think when one of those machines comes out from the factory, it only holds like 2,800 feet. So you're either tagging on all the time, or if you build your flanges up, you've got one chunk of line that you can go all the way to the creek. reach everything that you want to reach.
We run an Eagle carriage, Eagle 2, and the reason we run that is that they invented it for us. We were the first company to run Eagle Sky cars over shackles, and so the Bakers invented that car for us, and we've had the first car in '84. We proofed it and made improvements on it over the years, and now we're probably the only company left that still runs those 40-year-old carriages, but we know what makes them work.
You know, Mike's been doing this for 40 plus years. He understands it, he can adapt to it, he knows what to expect. He knows the outcome, he knows what the landowner wants.
If you've been in business for 40 some years, and you must be pretty good at it, I think.